So I definitely want to help more with that. So that is something that that is my plan going forward with this channel. So if you're interested in true crime, if you're interested in seeing the details of cases, I try doing a short form. I don't want to go over 10, 11 minutes because I want us to kind of get in and out. So sometimes there might be two parters, three parts, four parters, just so we can break it down in a digestible size. I do like to watch the true crimes they put on TV, and some of them are good. Like, okay, they're good, and some of them just have like a lot of filler information, and I'm just like, just get to the point. Like, you do not need all that information. So today we're going to check out See No Evil. I think this is See No Evil. One of the things you gotta be careful about is that they'll people will list a crime under a certain name and it's not that, or a certain video under a certain name and it is not that. This one is posted by, let me see, who's the person here? By Durong Handmade. So check them out, subscribe so you can see some of their awesome videos. Let's pull it up. And how you guys doing on this lovely Monday? We've been pretty consistent. I want to say we've been this way for over 2 months now. So I feel pretty good. The consistency has been popping. I know more of where I want to go. I feel good. So yeah, let's get into it. Mm. I'm sorry, I did say 9:15, and I would like to hold out until 9:15, but we're gonna start just a little earlier because I've been starting super late, and I like to get off because I want to go. Me and my mom gets together, and we play video games on Mondays, on Tuesdays, and we just have like such a blast. Sharing, 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 sharing. So let's go on the page. All right, there we go. And I'm going to pull it up just to make sure that you guys can see what I can see. All right, there we go. And I'm going to pull it up just to make sure that you guys can see what I can see. It just says, all right, there we go. And I'm going to pull it up just to make sure that you guys can see what I can see. It just says, all right, there we go. And I'm going to pull it up just to make sure that. Okay. So let's stop sharing the screen. Okay. I'm trying to stop sharing the screen. Let's see if it gets back to, okay, it got back to what we're doing. So let's see if we can select the window. I'm trying to stop sharing the screen. Let's see if it gets back. Okay, sorry, I got that feedback. I don't want that feedback. Actually, hold on. I could put it in my ear so I can hear it and you guys don't have to hear it. There we go. There we go. Awesome. So feel free to leave whatever you want in the chat. As you guys know, we talk to it. I'm going to stop and pause. I know it's irritating, but it's also so I don't get copyright issues. And also because like this is how it feels to watch it with your friends. You can sit here and stop and talk about like, oh my gosh, girl, did you see what happened? So
when you find the man of your dreams, he often becomes your whole world. And everything else starts to fade away. But what happens when your love for your man consumes you.
See, I feel like this is for your man, but, you know, let's continue.
And you're forced to choose where your loyalties lie. When it comes time to make a choice, your ultimate decision might mean the difference between life and death.
And here's my thing. I don't like for your man. It's something like I don't know. I like to see it from the victim's point of view. For my man, I don't know. I just feel like I be looking at this shit like you are so dumb, but I'm sure you can look at it for so many different ways. But okay, let's go.
June 26th, 2002. It's a beautiful afternoon in Windmore, Pennsylvania, an idyllic suburb located just north of Center City, Philadelphia.
Windmore was somewhere that you aspired to be as a homeowner. Great schools, great shopping, wonderful restaurants. It's the most desired suburb outside of Philadelphia.
But later that evening, the tranquil setting is interrupted by flashing lights.
I love how they always paint the scene. Like not only you see it, but they got to paint it verbally.
A woman has called police after noticing her neighbor's front door wide open all day long.
She had a legitimate concern for the welfare of this neighbor.
Police make their way into the residence to do a welfare check on the.
I will say that's an interesting reason to call the police because the door is open. I actually had my neighbor, his door was open and it wasn't open all day. I went over there because there were some dogs who had escaped and I thought that maybe they were his. So I went over there and his door was cracked open. Well, not wide open, but like for us to live in the area that we live in is too wide open for me. So I just called in to him and was like, hey, and he called out to me. So for them to call the police, that's like that was interesting. So I'm sure it worked out, but very interesting reason to call the police. Like, how would that conversation go?
50-year-old Shanita Glanville. But after they enter the home, the officers are shocked by what they find.
They find the man on the floor, dead.
He was shot once in the head, once in the torso, and once in the arm.
A woman who they believe to be Shanita is lying just a few feet away from the male victim.
Dang.
They find her lying face down, 2 shots through the rear of her head. She was killed execution style.
Who would want to gun down these 2 victims? And
Yes,
why?
who and why?
People, they were shocked. They were confused. This kind of thing doesn't happen in that town.
As police try to make sense of this double homicide, they'll uncover a tangled web of deceit, where one woman's desire to please her man put those she loved in danger.
She was willing to do whatever it took to make sure her man was happy.
You're just being stupid, girl. You're just being stupid. Get your self-esteem up. This is the kind of stuff like Risa Tisa. This is the type of stuff that she would do for her man. Which is it's not a good thing to say, and it's no shade to her, but just like someone who just wants to keep a dude and they're willing to do some tomfuckery. caught up in these text messages.
Chanel Cunningham was known for her warm personality and impeccable taste in fashion.
Chanel was beautiful. She was vibrant. Her smile lit up a room.
The fashionista was determined to own her own store one day.
Chanel was willing to work hard to have a store of her own. That was her dream.
At a party one night in February of 1998, Chanel crossed paths with someone who seemed like he could make all her dreams come true. Swanky businessman Maurice Phillips.
Maurice was a handsome, just brown-skinned young man, and she is absolutely awestruck by him.
He had swagger like nobody else. She was amazed by him.
And this is why, actually, maybe we're supposed to watch this, right? And it gives you a good parallel to Risa Tisa's situation. If you don't know what the Risa Tisa situation was, it was a young lady who did Who the F Did I Marry? And she did like a million part series of where she talked about why she dated this man or married to this man, and like, but there was like a million signs, and she was just wanting to be with someone. So when I look at For My Man, I see a lot of these women where they just wanted a man, like a man is a center of their life. And it's cool to want to have a relationship, but it's very important that that need for a man doesn't override your common sense.
Instantly, there's this connection.
Of course there is.
Maurice and Chanel talked for hours.
He was smart. He had his own business. Maurice was everything that she had been looking for.
She saw in him was someone who was just as driven as she was, just as ambitious. They were a perfect match.
And that's why we gotta get out here and explore different circles. Because honestly, at this date, like, it's one thing for her to be like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling you, but she shouldn't be impressed by this, because that's how people get over on you. They're like, oh snap, you're impressed by this little bit. Psh, got her.
From that night on, Chanel and Maurice were inseparable.
Once.
Oh, and he laid the pipe. He gave her the pipe, man. Once that happens, he's like, I got her.
Maurice Phillips and Chanel started dating. Things got intense.
Chanel felt like she hit the jackpot. She finally found a man that she could depend on, a man that could take care of things.
Chanel had found everything that she was looking for in Maurice. She was absolutely enamored by him.
If Chanel wanted a Prince Charming, Maurice stepped into that role immediately.
Maurice showered Chanel with exotic trips and a life of luxury.
Maurice, he gave the appearance of perfection. He took her to romantic places around the world and gave her what she thought she would never see.
Maurice and Chanel, they were doing it all. They went to Super Bowls, Celebrity All-Star Weekend basketball games.
Chanel not only fell in love with Maurice, she also fell in love with that lifestyle. And we're talking about a lifestyle of fancy cars, big houses.
Some families you're born into, some find each other instead. Over wags and
This
walks.
is why.
That look you
Let's
can't
take this on
resist.
mute.
And knowing
This is why you gotta get around all these. You have to be around this more, because when you see this, you're not like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. That's why I do applaud fathers who show their daughters how to be treated, because when they run into this, it's like, okay, well, yeah, this is how you're supposed to do. What else you got?
In the summer of 2001, Maurice also made Chanel's dream of starting her own boutique come true.
He worked with her to start her own business, and just as he had done for himself, she was really inspired by him.
Okay. Now, all right, he's doing some big stuff. Okay, I can't even complain about it because I'm not gonna lie, that's impressive. That's impressive. Someone help you start your boutique? Okay, okay, prove me wrong.
Because of Maurice, Chanel is really walking in the life that she's envisioned for herself.
But little did Chanel know that behind all of the bling, there was more to Maurice and his small business than met the eye.
Maurice was really looking for someone he could trust, and he saw that in Chanel.
Whatever he was doing, she became his ride or die. June 26, 2002. Detectives have just arrived at the scene of a brutal double homicide at a residence in Winmore, Pennsylvania. The homeowner, Shanita Glanville, and a male victim have been found shot to death.
She had been killed execution style. 2 shots in the back of her head.
The man was shot once in the head, once in the arm, and in the torso as well.
Officers informed detectives that
Sorry,
the male
guys.
victim is Shanita's
I don't know why I
godson,
didn't think you would see
Dane
that.
King, and that they suspect the murders occurred around 24 hours prior.
The police learned from neighbors that Dane King had just came down from Philadelphia to help Shanita with some computer issues.
Detectives believe the assailant wasn't after Dane, but his godmother.
But why? Is that what y'all thinking? Because that's what I'm thinking. Why?
The shooter probably didn't expect somebody else to be there.
It's a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
But that's not the only reason detectives suspect Shanita Glanville was the killer's main target.
They knew Shanita was an informant.
Oh,
Shanita had been working with detectives
what a twist! I didn't see that coming.
in their investigation of a local drug ring. And it seems the drug ring may have found out.
Shanita was ratting them out. They could have wanted to silence Shanita for good.
The hunt for Shanita and Dane's killer is on, and police think they know just who they're looking for. But what they
But how?
don't yet know is that there's another suspect at the center of this brutal slaying. One whose loyalty veered towards love over friendship.
She would do anything for him. She got herself and her friends so engrossed in this that there was really no way out.
Chanel Cunningham thought she had finally found her Prince Charming in wealthy business owner Maurice Phillips.
He had given her the life that she had always wanted.
They were well known. They were established. People knew Maurice and Chanel when they walked down the street, and they respected Maurice and Chanel.
She had finally reached the point that she always dreamed she could be at.
That's about to be ignoring.
But
you
soon,
guys. I'm gonna have to.
a friend would threaten the lifestyle that Chanel had grown to love. And shots would ring out.
Chanel was ready to do whatever it took to keep Maurice safe, to keep her family safe, and keep them together.
June 26, 2002.
This don't sound good at all.
Windmore detectives are investigating the brutal double homicide of Shanita Glanville.
Okay, sorry. Keep asking me to reset. Guess it gotta be something. There's gotta be something. Gotta be starting something.
Love and shots would ring out.
Chanel was ready to do whatever it took to keep Maurice safe, to keep her family safe, and keep them together.
June 26, 2002. Windmore detectives are investigating the brutal double homicide of Shanita Glanville and Dane King.
They find her with 2 shots to the rear of her head.
Next to Shanita is her godson, Dane King. He's found with multiple gunshots to the body.
I think not a great fear of mine. I think that'd be wrong to say, but isn't it wild? Like you're minding your business and you get killed because of somebody else's shenanigans. That's just so rude.
Detectives believe Shanita's godson was an innocent bystander and that Shanita was the targeted hit.
Shanita was working with the feds, working up a case against this immense drug operation.
It was a major cocaine empire that was spreading throughout the Northeast.
Shanita was ratting them out. They could have wanted to silence Shanita for good.
So how did she
Shanita
know?
had started working with law enforcement just 1 month earlier, after her home was raided by federal agents for suspicion of money laundering.
Oh, so she was a part of it.
They're looking for W-2 forms, tax forms. They've confiscated everything.
In order to avoid jail time, Shanita jumped at the chance to make a deal with law enforcement.
Okay, so all right, hear me out. This is about to be controversial. Um, Statement number one. This is truly where no snitching should apply. Like you were involved in doing the dirt, just like we were. You was cool with the money. You was down with the money, and this is a part of it. And now you're faced with some real tough stuff, and now you want to make deals and stuff. So I'm not saying she deserves to get killed, not at all. But there is this phrase that says you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So when you make those type of decisions, you're faced with certain situations.
Shanita was very interested in working with the FBI agent. To better her situation, she pretty much started at the beginning and told them everything.
Shanita told them she had been working for Maurice Phillips, who was already on investigators' radar for drugs.
Maurice was a dangerous man.
He's involved in some really bad stuff and with some really bad people.
Detectives know that if Maurice found out Shanita was a rat, he would have wanted revenge.
So,
and like my thing is this. So she got to know him and he started doing all that stuff for her. And it's like, bro, come on. If you're doing illegal stuff, I don't want to know about it. Don't tell me about it because I'm gonna snitch. But I'm not even gonna be involved with it. And that's how they get you. They sit here and get you all lubed up with all the things that you wanted and get you to fall deep and to get you to love all the lifestyle and be like, hey, we're into dealing drugs. And you're like, now I gotta stay with you because I love the lifestyle. And you. I love you and lifestyle.
But before police can officially pin the double homicide on Maurice, they'll need cold, hard proof.
They're looking for paperwork. They're looking for documents. They're looking for the money trail.
However, it soon becomes evident that Maurice couldn't have been the one who pulled the trigger.
At the time of the crime, Maurice was at a luxury restaurant, which could be verified by surveillance cameras.
No.
He had a rock solid alibi.
No. You cannot tell me that this square peg is a shooter. No.
Detectives know that just because Maurice didn't pull the trigger doesn't mean he's innocent. They wade through Maurice's financial records and see that he withdrew a large sum of cash on the same day as the murders.
Maurice could have set it up.
It's a classic kind of gangland style. Yeah, murder for hire.
And within Maurice's phone records, detectives find a clue that just might lead them to a potential hitman. They see that on the day of the crime, Maurice made a flurry of phone calls to a single number.
He calls his cousin in Tennessee numerous times.
Detectives identify Maurice's cousin as 31-year-old Bryant Patterson. And from looking at Bryant's credit card transactions, it appears he made a quick round trip to Philadelphia in the days before and after the murder.
For him to be a kingpin like he is, he's doing a lot of dumb stuff, like creating a whole entire paper trail, which I'm happy. Which I'm happy. Like criminals do not need to get any smarter, but that just seems like he made a lot of errors.
The cousin, not living in the Philadelphia area, was the best person to come in, get the job done, and go back home. Less likely to be a suspect because he's not from the area.
When detectives reach out to their counterparts in Tennessee for assistance with locating Bryant, they're met with a surprise.
Bryant was arrested in Tennessee on a gun charge, unrelated to this criminal activity in the Philadelphia area.
Detectives travel down to Tennessee to speak with Bryant. In an interrogation room, they're pleased to find that their suspect is willing to talk.
Bryant wanted to make a deal with the police.
Seems like you're surrounded by
Bryant
snitches,
admits
Maurice.
that he's the one who gunned down Shanita and Dane.
Oh, cool. Okay.
He said, I'm your shooter. I'm the one that did the killing.
Yeah.
Bryant is spilling.
That seemed pretty easy. He was just like, hey, it's me. That seemed pretty easy.
The beans.
But Bryant isn't going down alone.
Chanel loved Maurice. Love makes you do crazy things sometimes.
She lost her best friend because she was at the point where she would do anything for me.
Philadelphia detectives are investigating drug kingpin Maurice Phillips for the brutal murders of Shanita Glanville and her godson, Dane King.
Shanita was working with the feds, and we're working up a case against Maurice, and this is the reason why he wanted Shanita eliminated.
But before detectives can take down Maurice Phillips, they need cold, hard proof of their theory. Luckily, they're now sitting down in a Tennessee interrogation room with someone who can help. Maurice's cousin, Bryant Patterson.
Bryant actually confessed to being the murderer. He pulled the trigger.
Stop Googling how to make money.
If I was a kingpin, I'd just be like, it is so hard to find good help these days. He didn't even put any resistance up. He didn't play hardball or anything. He just gave up.
Bryant confirms he carried out the crime at his cousin's behest.
Bryant Patterson tells investigators that he didn't know Shanita personally. His cousin Maurice commissioned him to do a hit, and Maurice offered him $18,000 for the murder.
Number two, if you want things done, and I'm sure he thought $18,000 was a good price for a hit. But in my many years of watching television, it really seems like 18,000 is not either he overpaid for that level of service or he didn't pay enough. A good hit, you paying a lot of money, like a money. And now you see why you pay so much, because this dude folded like fresh laundry.
Bryant tells detectives it all started a few weeks before, on June 24th.
He got a phone call from his cousin. His cousin told him to come to Philly so they could take care of a problem.
Bryant says he made the drive up to Philly right away. And once he got there, Maurice filled him in.
Maurice informed Bryant that Shanita needed to be taken care of.
Maurice told Bryant that Shanita was a rat and she needed to be silenced before she.
Oh, how Maurice, how Maurice just doesn't realize that he has a whole infestation in his empire. He's concerned about her being the rat, and his cousin is a rat. I tell you, this is why I don't do crime. There is no loyalty among thieves.
She took the entire organization down.
He said, "You need to help eliminate this problem."
Maurice gives him a 45 caliber gun.
Maurice gave Bryant the address. Him, go take care of the snitch.
Bryant tells police that Maurice had carefully covered every detail.
Maurice wanted to be as far away from this crime as possible.
He's going to be at a restaurant where a lot of people can see him.
Bryant then gives a.
And that's the other part of doing a crime, and they think it's you. If you've got too little of an alibi, or if you got too much of an alibi, those are things that will stick out to the police that I see. There was one crime I saw, and this guy had receipts. He had the stuff that he purchased. He had the bags. He had everything to show that he was not there. But the problem is, your average person, you're going to lose one of those two things. You're not going to have a receipt for every single place that you hit. It's not going to be perfectly laid. It's not, you throw receipts around. So, and then my other thing about this cousin is just like, did he at least, did they have like DNA evidence? It just really seemed like they were like, "Hey, did you did it?" He's like, "Yes, yes, yes, it was me." Like, did he fight? Did he push back? Like, what happened?
Authorities a play-by-play of what happened on the night of June 25th.
He parked at a local business down the street from Shanita's home.
Bryant opened the door and crept inside, with Shanita none the wiser.
As soon as he sees her, he pulls out the 45, tells her to get on the ground, and shoots her in the back of the head twice. Execution.
If they coming after me like that, and he's like, "Get on the ground," no, I'm screaming. I'm making a fuss. You're not just gonna get to kill me easily. You're gonna have to work to kill me. If you wanted me to be silent, you should have came in here silently and shot, no questions asked. But you're not just gonna come and just shoot. You're not gonna bring your gun out and I'm gonna listen to what you say, especially knowing that I'm probably about to die. Oh no, I'm turning up.
Bryant says he didn't know Shanita's godson was visiting, but he couldn't leave any witnesses.
Dane King immediately is scared. He starts trying to fight Bryant.
He was fighting for his life. Bryant turned the gun on Dane, and he emptied the chamber.
And I don't feel like, okay, this is going to controversial statement number 97 for the night. I feel bad that the woman lost her life because it doesn't match. But when you get into that world, you're not going to be met with anything nice. I feel bad for Dane because this dude came down here, probably was just thinking it's just a regular old trip, and he was going to come down here and help his aunt to get her stuff together. And he has to, like, he's not prepared for this. You don't even think your aunt is involved into anything like this. At least I wouldn't think. And like, now you lose your life because of your aunt and her shenanigans. That's why, like, again, reason number 2,000,000 why you should not get into that type of life, because it does not necessarily just affect you. Like, people in that life, they do not care about nobody. They care about themselves and only themselves. And they will shoot you and anybody else to keep those secrets. But learn the hard way though. Side note, the guy who's playing the killer, he cute. He real cute.
Once both victims were dead, Bryant called Maurice.
He called Maurice Phillips on the phone and told him, it's done. I did it.
Bryant tells detectives that Maurice then gave him instructions to collect his earnings.
Maurice informed Bryant that you go and meet this person at this location and they're going to pay you $16,000.
Well, I thought it was $18,000.
But Bryant says the location of the second portion of his earnings took him by surprise.
Maurice tells Bryant he can go to the boutique that he and Chanel own and he can get the rest of the money.
At this admission, detectives' ears perk up. Maurice's girlfriend has been on their radar ever since their talks with Shanita.
Shanita and Chanel were the best of friends. So much so that they were family.
According to Shanita, Chanel was in charge of recruitment for her man's drug empire. And Chanel was the one who had convinced Shanita to get involved in the first place.
Chanel.
Chanel explained that it was her role in Maurice's business to keep an eye out for people that were intelligent, people that could crunch numbers, that could move money around. And being that Shanita was a mortgage broker, she fit the bill to a T.
Now detectives wonder if Chanel also had a hand in planning her friend's demise.
Did Chanel have anything to do with it?
She didn't want to lose him. She didn't want her man to go to jail.
See, this all stems from dealing with people who don't really have like an exposure to that type of life. So when they see it, and it's a game, right? So that type of Maurice, he's the type of dude who he knows his marks. He knows his marks. And they take somebody who doesn't have like the greatest sense of self-esteem and also who has a little bit of depravity in them, right? Because if you're a person who has an upstanding moral, they're probably not going to fuck with you, but they're going to listen to what you're saying and they're listening for cues to see if you would be the appropriate person to fit into that empire. They're going to listen to how you talk about yourself. They're going to listen to how you talk about other things. They're going to see if you're down, how many secrets that you can hold, how much ride or dying that you can do. They're going to listen for all of that and bring you into it, because then once you're in there, they can start. My dad once explained it, and it wasn't talking about this. He was talking about other stuff that is like turn the heat up on a frog, and that frog doesn't even know that they're cooking because you start turning it lower and lower and lower, and it feels good. It feels nice, and the next thing you know, it gets really hot. And by the time you notice that it's too hot, you're probably cooked.
Patterson for pulling the trigger in the brutal shooting of Shanita Glanville and her godson, Dane King. But Bryant claims it was all at the behest of his cousin, drug kingpin Maurice Phillips.
Bryant told the police, I did it for Maurice Phillips. That's who hired me to do it. And he paid me $18,000 to do this killing.
Maurice found out that Shanita, in essence, was a snitch. So he called Bryant and hired him to silence Shanita for good.
I bet you didn't see that coming. That is wild. But Maurice got his comeuppance.
With more than enough evidence to take down Maurice, detectives only have one question remaining. Was Maurice's girlfriend, Chanel Cunningham, involved in the murder for hire plot?
Yes, she was.
After all, Bryant did go to Chanel and Maurice's boutique after the murders to collect part of his earnings.
She knew.
Maurice had given him the privy to go to Chanel's store and get $2,000 worth of goods for himself to make up for the other $2,000, the $18,000 he was promised for the murder.
Unfortunately for police, Bryant doesn't seem to know much more about Chanel's involvement.
When he came into the store, he got what he wanted. He did, and he left.
When Barbara switched to TurboTax?
So now I'm curious to see how ride or die she is and how ride or die her dude is.
After detectives arrive back in Philadelphia, police head to Chanel and Maurice's home with a search warrant in hand.
Mm, just like Diddy.
The officers approach with caution.
They knew Maurice was dangerous.
Just two?
In order to get the power that he had,
You
you
know
had
this
to
is
be
TV.
willing to do some dangerous things.
Maurice answers the door. And fortunately, he complies without incident. Chanel comes out just in time to see her man being cuffed, only to have the officers apprehend her next.
She knew when she was arrested that the only thing that she could do was cooperate with police. That her life of luxury and fantasy was over.
Back at the station, detectives speak to Maurice first.
They tell Maurice that they know that he had ordered the hit on Shanita. They have Bryant's confession and his role in murder for hire.
Like, wow, he's probably
But
like,
Maurice isn't going down easy.
Maurice denies it.
Of course.
He says they're trying to throw him under the bus.
Maurice says that Brian did this all on his own. He wasn't involved.
With Maurice refusing to cooperate, detectives book him on a myriad of charges.
Maurice is charged with murder for hire. He's charged with criminal conspiracy, money laundering, and distributing cocaine.
Next up is Chanel. Detectives are still unsure if she was involved in the double homicide and are hoping they can finally get the truth.
They were able to connect Chanel with the drug business, but they were never really able to connect her to the murder.
Detectives notice that when they bring up Shanita's death, Chanel becomes visibly upset.
Chanel, she always considered Shanita to be like an aunt to her. They were very close.
At that point, it turned realistic. This was no longer the fairy tale.
Chanel tells detectives she's ready to talk.
Dang, Maurice, you ain't got no loyalty around. And again, Shanita should not have died. Okay. And I'm very glad that Chanel told the truth. But Maurice, man, you've misjudged many people in your organization.
As much as she loved Maurice, she was ready to tell whatever they needed to know.
She says at first she fell in love with Maurice's swagger and at the time didn't realize what he was involved in.
Okay.
But after a while, Maurice told Chanel the truth.
Yeah. After she's fallen in love with everything.
Small
That's how it goes.
businesses were the front for a drug business.
Chanel admits that although she was surprised at first, she wasn't fazed.
By this time, Chanel didn't even care how he made his money. She was down for him and she was down to help.
And here's my other thing, okay? Because my thing is like, as soon as I see that, I'm out. But then I'm thinking, would he even let you out? Because like you see what he's doing, you see what he's into. Do you truly have a choice though? Like if you looked at it, you're like, oh, I can't do that. I'm cool. Will he kill you because you said no? I mean, that's not her scenario, but that's just me thinking.
She loves Maurice and she loves the lifestyle. So she's not going to give up on the love and she's not going to give up on the lifestyle.
Chanel tells detectives she slowly got integrated into Maurice's drug business.
Chanel became completely engrossed in the business, and it wasn't just Maurice anymore. It was both of them involved in this criminal activity.
Chanel says that's when she offered a solution that she'll regret for the rest of her life.
Chanel loved Maurice so much that she was willing to not only risk her life, her freedom, but her best friend also.
And remember, I told you, like, they also look for someone with a little bit of that depravity because you could have low self-esteem, but you could also be like, I ain't doing that. Nah, I'm good.
Maurice Phillips and Chanel Cunningham for their role in a multi-million-dollar cocaine ring.
Mm.
They are right on their heels of bringing down this drug conspiracy.
Okay, this book is so you. It's about a
Absolutely. Depravity. I don't even know that's how you pronounce it, but that's how I'm pronouncing it.
They believe Maurice paid his cousin, Bryant Patterson, to kill police informant Shanita Glanville.
Maurice tells Brian that he needed to get rid of Shanita before she could testify against him.
Unfortunately, Shanita wasn't the only one who suffered Maurice's wrath.
Bryant then turned the gun on the godson, Dane King.
With Bryant in custody and his confession in tow, detectives have what they need on Maurice. But they're still not sure if Chanel was involved in the hit on Shanita.
They can connect Chanel to the drug business, but they can't connect her to Shanita's death.
Fortunately, Chanel has decided to come clean and tell all.
She knows all she can do is cooperate and pray that they have leniency.
Chanel admits that she eventually became immersed in Maurice's drug business. And by the fall of 2000, their empire began soaring to new heights.
Their drug business was expanding, and they were making money exponentially. So much so that they kind of didn't know what to do with all the money that they were making.
They couldn't very well just walk into a bank and make millions of dollars in a deposit and expect no one to notice.
If you're living in a certain size house and you're driving a certain size car and you're paying certain size taxes, people start looking at your bank accounts.
That's when Chanel got an idea for a new recruit, her longtime family friend, Shanita Glanville.
Shanita Glanville was a successful mortgage broker. She was known for doing well in her business. She was known for crunching numbers.
Chanel and Shanita's relationship was really close. They loved each other. Shanita was pretty much an aunt towards Chanel.
Chanel knew that Shanita was exactly what Maurice would need to hide all of this illegal money they were making.
Chanel tells detectives when she made the proposal to Shanita, her friend was taken aback at first.
When Shanita heard these words, she couldn't believe that Chanel was wrapped up into something this major.
But when Chanel told Shanita how much money she would make, Shanita caved.
She agreed. As much as she was reluctant at first, she was looking at the green.
Chanel tells detectives, from that point on, she and Shanita worked together to strengthen the ring's cover.
They would create false documents, W-2s, anything to make the drug operation look as legitimate as possible.
They were buying properties and selling properties with false institutions that they owned.
Chanel says things were going well once Shanita got involved. That is, until Maurice caught wind of the raid at Shanita's house.
Maurice has been in this game a long time before he met Chanel. And so the people.
So for him to be in this game for so long, why he ain't getting no police on his payroll? Maybe that's what happened. Maybe sorry guys, my cat, he's feeling very playful here. No, you cannot play my feet. So, but maybe the police be on his payroll is how he caught wind of the raid, but I just don't understand why he didn't get at least a police officer on his side, because maybe that would have helped him out a little bit more. He could have killed Shanita for him. Maurice, come on, man.
That he works with know people who know people.
When Maurice suspected that Shanita was the informant, He was furious.
Maurice told Chanel that if Shanita flipped on them, it would be Chanel's fault, since she's the one who brought Shanita into the business.
Maurice now wants Chanel to go and confront Shanita and ask her, are you cooperating? Are you telling on us? Are you squealing on us?
Chanel loved Maurice, and Chanel was willing to do anything for her man. She did as Maurice requested her to do. She went over, she talked to Shanita.
She demanded to know if Shanita had said anything about Chanel and Maurice's operation.
Shanita, she was absolutely frantic that Maurice knew about the raid.
She's scared out of her mind because she knows what Maurice is capable of.
Chanel says Shanita was hysterical, adamantly denying the allegations. And Chanel believed her.
She called Maurice on the phone and said, I just confronted her. She's not involved in ratting on us.
She's so naive, Chanel. So naive.
Still with us.
She tried to talk Maurice down, but she thought that she did.
He told her, okay, I'm not going to do anything to her.
Chanel said after that, she thought everything was squashed. She believed Shanita, and she thought that Maurice did too.
Doctor provides balance eating.
I don't know. Like, I think she's a lie. I think that's a cap, because you're in this relationship with this dude, and I'm sure he's pillow talking. I'm sure he's telling you some stuff. You know he's a big bad mama jamma, but like you believe that he's gonna let her go. This is why I feel, and this is why I don't. Depravity. I feel like she knew what was going to happen, and I feel like she probably was like, "Yeah, she's gonna do this, that, and the other thing." And instead of her saying that, she's trying to get a lighter. What's that word? She's trying to get a lighter sentence, because the rule is whoever flips first gets the deal.
But a few days later, Chanel and Maurice got word from an associate that Shanita hadn't been honest with them.
He flew off the handle.
She knew the love that he had for her. But when it came down to the business, there is no love.
In the summer of 2002, police are speaking with 29-year-old Chanel Cunningham.
Okay, maybe I was wrong, but still.
About her role in an extensive drug ring led by her kingpin boyfriend, Maurice Phillips. Detectives believe Maurice is also behind a murder-for-hire scheme that left 2 people dead, including Chanel's best friend, Shanita Glanville.
You've got Bryant, the guy that carried out the murder for hire. He's willing to testify that Maurice orchestrated it.
There's just one question remaining. Was Chanel involved in her friend's murder?
They know that Chanel is involved in the drug dealing, but they don't know if she's at all implicated in the murder of her friend Shanita.
Chanel tells detectives that a few weeks before the murder, Maurice ordered her to confront Shanita after he got wind of the raid at her house.
Chanel had come to her and confronted her.
When her friend denied working with police, she believed her.
Chanel called Maurice and told Maurice that she didn't betray them at all.
But the situation was far from over. A few days later, Maurice told Chanel that he found out Shanita had lied to her.
That must have been chilling when he told her that.
Chanel was shocked. She was afraid of Maurice.
Chanel knew Maurice was furious, but she loved him. She didn't want to think that he was capable of doing this to her friend.
Chanel says she thought about warning Shanita that Maurice had found out the truth, but didn't want to cross her man.
She's kind of torn between her friendship and her love for her man.
Chanel says on June 25th, Maurice told her that his cousin was going to retrieve some merchandise from their store.
When Bryant went to pick up his $2,000 in luxury items at the boutique, Chanel had no knowledge of why Maurice was being so generous. She no way thought that Bryant arrived in Philly from Tennessee to kill her best friend.
But later, Maurice unleashed his dirty secret.
Maurice told her what had happened. Shanita was dead.
Said, babe, I had to do this for us. You know, it was either her or us.
Chanel was devastated, but she tried not to show it.
Chanel says that after Maurice confessed, although she was shocked, he never spoke about it again. And she admitted that she still loved him.
This was a man she had been with for years.
This is a murderer. And she still loved to murder. Couldn't be me. Because that's just like the ultimate no-no for me. But again, you live in that life, so your morals are already askewed.
Years. She didn't want to lose him.
Chanel says she regrets not coming forward to police. But most of all, she regrets that she didn't warn her friend.
Chanel tells police that she felt remorse for Shanita's death. She feels ashamed that she didn't say anything sooner.
Even though Chanel had nothing to do with her friend's murder, she's still charged with a plethora of crimes regarding her involvement in the drug organization.
She's charged with conspiracy to distribute cocaine, transactional money laundering, and aiding and abetting.
In January of 2010, Maurice's trial gets underway in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. Chanel Cunningham is the prosecution's star witness.
Chanel decided to testify against Maurice because this is not how she wanted it to end. Yes, she loved Maurice, but she also loved Shanita, and Shanita was dead.
Bryant Patterson also testifies against Maurice. And the kingpin is ultimately found guilty.
He receives 5 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole.
As he should have. Dangerous guy.
For their cooperation, Chanel and Bryant are given leniency by the court.
Chanel Cunningham receives 12 years after pleading guilty for money laundering and drug conspiracy.
As for triggerman Bryant Patterson, he walks away with the least time of the 3.
After pleading guilty for murder for hire, Bryant Patterson receives 9 years and 4 months.
People were shocked and angry after hearing.
I mean, that is really short. Like, again, not saying that he should have killed a Shanita, but she's in the limelight, so I could get not getting an absurd amount of time for her. She didn't deserve that though, but I could get that. But like, dang, dude was just there fixing the computer. And I know they gave him that leniency because he probably like gave him a lot more information to help bring down the whole entire empire. But like, Dane alone should at least be a life sentence with parole, in my opinion. But I don't know law.
Bryant Patterson's sentencing.
The family was outraged at the fact that he got this little bit of time for double murder.
Life is just absolutely invaluable. So when you're at that crossroads between love and life, choose life.
Recently.
Absolutely. Between that, choose life. She was right. Absolutely right. Let's stop the. And that is today's true crime. So what did we learn, you guys? 1, don't get all caught up in all the glitz and glamour someone is given to you. And she's 29 and they said they've been together for years. So he probably got with her. I wonder how old he is. Maurice Patterson. Let's see how old he was. Shanita, murder. I'm curious. Murder of a federal witness leads to life in prison for a drug dealer. Oh, she was 50 years old. Yeah, I thought she looked like an auntie. He was 38 in 2010. Well, I want to prove a, not prove a point, but I am curious. He was 38. Order Windmore. A decade. He was in it for a grip. It says a key code conspirator, Chanel Cunningham, attracted street dealers to Phillips' organization by using her feminine wiles, which cites her romantic involvement with several men who came to depend on Phillips as their wholesale cocaine supplier. So he was out here tricking her out. So they're not saying how old Chanel Cunningham was. That's what I'm curious because she's 38. He's 38, says she's 29. Oh, she's pretty. Look at her. She's pretty. Look at him. I mean, they look equally matched. It doesn't look like, she was a like look at them. It looks like they're a good looking couple. It's not what I thought it would be at all. Like, because some guys will pick like a regular old lady. Mm. United States v. Phillips. Just curious. I know, I'm curious. I found the documents. I don't want to use the documents. But it says she was 29, and at the time it said he was 38. So it seems like she got her in when she was like in her early 20s. And again, this is not me trying to say that she should be exempt. Oh, no. It says she was 37. Oh, well, all that's out the window. He didn't pressure her. She was just as jacked up as he was. Just as jacked up as we were. Again, depravity. She is involved, and that was corny that she got her friend involved with that, and it was corny that her friend got involved with it. No, there is people get love all that money. They love all the money. They see all the money that they're going to get, and they ignore the the ramifications of their actions. I remember when I was in my early 20s, and I had a friend of mine, and her dude sold drugs, and she was dating him while he sold. Not only did he sell drugs, but like he also did drugs, which of course he didn't listen to Biggie. Number five, never get high off your own supply, but whatever. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm not coming back over here to hang out. I'm not going to your house to hang out. Like, what if something happens at the police? Like, what? What? No way. And it's just so normal of a lifestyle. And they're like, oh, nothing's going to happen. All right, not me. So, so what I will say, you guys, is just be careful out here. Don't do these things. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. And if you can't do the crime, if you feel like you're gonna snitch, don't do the crime, y'all. I'm a snitch. I don't do crime because I will snitch. People get mad at me for saying that, but I can't do jail time. I can't. I like freedom. I like getting my nails done, hair done, everything did. I like that. I don't like to sit here and create concoctions out of food just so I can put makeup on my face. I don't like that. Okay. I don't like broomsticks. I don't like none of that. All right. So thank you guys for watching me. Don't forget to subscribe, share, leave me a case that you would like to learn more about, and I would love to share with you guys. I hope you have a great night. Be safe, be safe, be safe,